Hello friends and welcome to Shubham's podcast. So today our topic is what are common mistakes freshers make during their career start. So today's our guest is Yogesh sir. So he has that much of expertise in this topic as well. Warm welcoming to Yogesh sir. So hi Yogesh sir, how are you?
Thanks Shubham for inviting me. It's really I'm enjoying to rejoin the podcast, and it's feel like really great to share my expertise. Although I don't claim to be expertise on any subject of the podcast, I try to share what I know and based on the possible way, so we can just impact a lot of freshers' career as well as the early job seekers.
So today we have selected a topic that is very important for the freshers perspective. So my first question is, so what do you think about better start planning before pass out? Is it important for freshers?
I think I can just give the two examples. One is to answer why the better career start is important, right? So you take an example of person A and you take an example of person B, right? So A is having after 5 or 10 years, he is in good company. The company culture is really caring about the employee. Then they'll have really good work-life balance, and then they are paying much higher versus the industry benchmark, right? And the person B is having below the benchmark job. He is stuck in the traditional models, and then he don't have a work-life balance, and then finally the company's culture is not good, and then companies again not paying fully or really good to have a good quality of life. So you can see the person A having definitely more planned career versus person B is not planned and randomly doing what's coming on his way. And I think that's really a crux of today's podcast to shoot, is why freshers needs to be really plan their career early.
Yeah, actually these points are valid. So we'll move to next question, that is what mistakes freshers makes during their career start.
I think I'll just number the kind of mistakes freshers usually make during their career start, or maybe choosing their career. So very first of all is not thoughtful about 5 or 10 years what happens with that jobs, or where actually that path goes. So you need to be very thoughtful and talking to someone who is in that path much 5 or 10 years ahead of you, right? So that's really important, students or the freshers. Second, I'll say be practical, right? I mean, build your quality resume, focus on how the recruitment happens, which platforms you need to be apply for the jobs or the careers, right? And then for which companies you want to go, for which career profiles you want to go, figure it out, right? So that's the second mistake most of the freshers do. Third thing I'll say is not preparing yourself for the soft skills, maybe one-on-one communication, one-on-one with the group communication, or not participating in the events. So this communication part also become a very the soft skills, the very important one is the communication become a hurdle or barrier for those students, right? Again, they are making a mistake by not training themselves on the soft skills, right? Second thing I'll say in terms of soft skill is behaving within the team, right? Or how you are behaving yourselves, right? To build a really good rapport, really trust within your colleagues, right? So these skill sets are really needed, and most of freshers don't pay attention to these when they are entering or trying to have a good career options, and ultimately they are just getting rejections through job interviews, resume selections, right? Fourth one I'll say try to understand what's advanced coming and train yourself on those skill sets as well, right? So these are 4-5 mistakes I see really practical, and day to day we observe that the freshers, those are suffering for not getting the jobs for 6 months or the 12 months, or even suffering on deviating much in their life is because of these mentioned mistakes commonly.
Yeah, absolutely right, sir. So we'll move to the next question, that is, do you think colleges prepares us for real job or career?
I'll say colleges prepare us for the real career option, but partially. College has certain boundaries, beyond that they cannot go. Let's take an example. Maybe they can train you, build your foundation, build your knowledge, right? Build your structure, build your thinking. But the problem is skill sets, right? I mean, there are very few institutes those are able to collaborate effectively with the industry, and then their student can have internship programs or industrial training. But most of the institute in the India, around 80%, 90% or 95% don't have those effective collaborations. And I see that colleges prepare us partially because not give student fully the skills on what's actually needed on the jobs, right? Let's take an example that you may learn the programming in the colleges, or you may learn some certain subjects, but when it's come to the actual practical life, or when in real terms situations you're not able to handle until you'll be like really skillful at that level, right? So I think in today's most of institute are not capable to bridge the knowledge and skill sets gap, and that's where I think students needs to be make sure that they plan well in advance.
So my next question is, why freshers fails even they have degrees?
I think most of freshers fails even having good degree or like having a good academics or having a good institute, because they are not planning, right? And then I'll say not just planning but also strategizing. Like if your A plan is not working, what you'll do as in B plan. If your B plan is not working, what you'll do as in C plan, right? And then preparing this for well in advance, right? You cannot prepare yourself after you are pass out and then you are chilling out for 3 and 6 months and then you are figuring out what to do, right? You have to figure it out that before you pass out, which certification, what type of courses, which companies, what type of resumes you will build, right? And then what is actually needed through a network, through a mentor, right? So try to understand these things, and then that possible solutions come in your mind.
Absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. I am agreeing with your points. So I'm moving to the next question. That is, what final message would you give to the candidate who is starting their career today?
I think my final message, thanks for Shubham asking, that's really a good question. I'll say, keep it very simple. Like landing a good career option is not a something, rocket science. Here you need to just well prepared in advance, think of what's new things are coming, and then think about what the plans you have, plan A, plan B and plan C, right? And fourth one is think of the two buckets. One is your traditional markets or traditional career opportunities, and second one is the emerging or the newer career opportunity, right? So traditional is well settled, safe, but their packages, their opportunity, their flexibility could hinder your life at all, right? After 5 or 10 years. Versus if you try to take on the new opportunity, emerging opportunity, there could be a possibly higher risk, but the reward will be also high, right? Even if you fail, you can just be a experienced field person in that field, and then after certain time you'll be really good at those things as a new, right? So don't be scary, take on the risk, things or the industrial career where the risk looks much greater but the rewards are also good, and that's really differentiate you in the future, right? Maybe in terms of work-life balance, maybe in terms of the paying capacity, maybe in terms of the flexibility, right? So think of the 5 to 10 years and accordingly train yourself. Also be careful about the new things which are coming to you as in future. What technologies are you need to be learn. Let's take an example maybe of AI, right? Everything it's just getting integrated through AI, and then AI is playing a critical role. So train yourself in the new technology so it'll be more relevant to the industry, and that's how I'll advise. Thanks Shubham for inviting me. It's always been pleasure, and I think I just try to share my knowledge through this podcast for the freshers. But do let us know if you want to meet or if you want to discuss or want to understand. But thanks for inviting me. It's really good experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Yogesh sir, coming to this podcast. And it's our honor that you are always with us for any topics. So students, if you like this podcast, just subscribe us, like us and comment in the section. So we'll bring you the new podcast in next week. Stay with us. Thank you.